Hi, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm excited to host this afternoon's Grow portion of AlleyCon, mostly because we have three wonderful speakers, one of which is sitting right next to me. One of the reasons that I'm honored to introduce the speakers for the Grow portion of this conference is that I teach an elective class at Columbia Business School called Technology Strategy. And a lot of our class is about platform and marketplace businesses like what you're about to see. Now, in teaching this class, I'd say that the question that comes up most is not how do you launch a company or how do you sustain a competitive advantage, which is a question that we're all kind of tired of trying to answer, but more how do you grow, how do you scale? And we don't really have the time to get into all the frameworks and everything right now, but I think when it comes to technology platforms, answering this question early in a company's growth is important. And it really essentially just comes down to answering and understanding that a platform is a way to solve a matching problem between customers and suppliers in such a way that creates unexpected value for both. And I think there's no better person to help us get started to talk about this problem than Haley Barna, who is the co-founder of Birchbox and currently a general partner at First Round Capital here in New York. Now, in case you haven't heard of Birchbox, Birchbox is a subscription service that sends members customized boxes of beauty accessories and samples for about $10 each month, right? Very good deal. They've even had a box for men, I learned recently, since 2011. So I just ordered one yesterday, and I will let you all know how that goes.
We need to have a before and after picture,
yes.
maybe.
Maybe not. So here's some company history and data about Birchbox. Haley and her co-founder started the company while they were MBA students at Harvard Business School in 2010. And to date, the company has over, so these are my latest numbers, but you can update me if it's okay. Yeah. They have over about $80 million in venture capital funding, and last year, Birchbox generated $200 million in revenue. And as of 2017, Birchbox sent boxes to over 1 million subscribers. In 2016, Haley left Birchbox as co-CEO to join First Round Capital, which was the lead investor in Birchbox's seed round. And today, she's First Round's first female general partner. Needless to say, Haley's resume is impressive. So I'm excited to have a fireside chat with her for all of you. So please join me in welcoming Haley today. So I think this is how it's going to go. I think we're probably going to have about 10 to 15 minutes together, then we'll open it up to the audience, if that's okay with everyone here. And I think we have runners as well for the microphone. And so once we're done, I'll gesture to you, and then that's how we can get started. So Haley and I were kind of talking a little bit before this, and I'd love to begin with a bit about the origin story of Birchbox, but something very specific, because it's interesting that you founded the company with your co-founder at Harvard Business School as students. It's not easy to balance like a job search with classes, with clubs, with extracurricular activity, and founding a company all at the same time. Can you talk about what that was like, the entrepreneurial process as a student, and whether any of your peers in business school influenced you at all?
Yeah, of course. So my co-founder and I had the idea for Birchbox when we were second-year students at HBS. I don't think we would have been able to find time for that the first year, but frankly, the second year, it was all costume parties and yoga classes and naps. I don't know, that's Harvard. Maybe it's different at Columbia Business School. So we had a lot more time on our hands. And we do all case method at HBS. So we had spent over a year putting ourselves in the CEO mindset, saying, if you were in charge of this business, what would you do? And we're like, okay, we've got some months until we graduate. We've been pretending to be CEOs of businesses in theory for 60 minutes during a class. What if we actually just start a business? Wouldn't we learn more from that? And we, our friendship had been based on a lot of bad business ideas, to be honest. Things like leggings for men, a restaurant that would only serve spherical food items.
I'm writing down meggings.
They exist now. Just go to Brooklyn. And so together, the two of us had like built the muscle of at least batting back and forth business ideas. We had also planned spring break for 40 people in our section, which is quite a stressful, high stakes, and a lot of money involved kind of thing, and we had done that successfully. And so when the good business idea hit us, we knew both that it was good compared to the other ones, but also that we would work well together in getting it done. And it was really just, an idea over Thai food at dinner over Thanksgiving break. But the next morning, one of us emailed each other being like, that idea for how to help people find the right beauty products for them and how to help beauty brands find new customers, that was a good one. And it just sort of snowballed. We emailed back and forth. We didn't write a business plan. What we did was start talking to everyone. We were sort of anti-stealth. We talked to everyone who had worked at a startup before, any of our friends that had been in venture capital. We talked to our professors. We were like, anyone who is smart, we were like, we have this idea, what do you think? And we got a lot of nodding heads. And we're like, okay, smart people think this isn't awful. And then we went from there being like, okay, we need great brands to be involved with this. We can't just go to consumers and be like, trust us, give us money for surprise, we needed to say that there were brands that they'd heard of. So we cold emailed beauty brands, and we just didn't send them a pitch deck or anything. We just sent them a one-page PDF with a concept. And then from there, we built a website. We got 200 customers. We did a whole MVP while we were in school. And frankly, I think it was easier doing it while we were students. I think we got responses to those cold emails because we could say, hi, we're 2 Harvard Business School students, right? That sort of disarms people and also makes them want to help you, right? When you've got the air cover of being a student. And our professors were really supportive. Basically, second semester, we took everything that we could do in terms of independent study, like credits towards Birchbox. And every class I took, I wrote the paper about Birchbox or made the final presentation about Birchbox. And I think there was one professor that I just knew, like, I did not even have time to read the cases. I was being awful in the class, and I just went to office hours, and I was like, look, I'm starting this business, and I'm sorry that I haven't been speaking up in class. But he wrote me a few years later to congratulate me on how well Birchbox had done afterwards. So
as a professor, I really appreciate that you took the time to.
Yeah, I think I was sort of self-conscious about it because I'm not usually the person who hasn't read the cases and isn't raising her hands in class, so I felt like I needed to explain it. But I think it was fantastic having the business idea and being able to start, at least do the proof of concept while we were still in school.
It's very interesting to hear because right now you're actually serving is in a different role in which you get to see the evolution of enterprises from the other side. Knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have told Haley from 8 years ago that you wish that you really wanted her to know?
Yeah, so I think we did a great job of just getting started. And that's something I tell founders all the time. Anyone who's mulling over an idea and they're like, what do you think? Is this the right one? I'd be like, just do it. And I think we really were fantastic at just getting it started. But the thing that we weren't so good at, and now I know a lot more about, was raising capital. So we made a bunch of newbie mistakes when we were raising our seed round / angel round. We didn't know if we wanted venture capital, to be honest, in the beginning, right? We had actually taken an entrepreneurship class where it made VCs seem like evil people that were going to fire you and take your business away from you. And we're like, angels, they sound nice. Let's raise from angel investors instead. So around the time we were graduating, we knew we wanted to move to New York to start the business. We started talking to angel investors. And it was like herding cats. Everyone would talk to us. They would say, love you, love the idea. They'd have a few more questions, and they'd have 3 more people for us to talk to. But no one was writing checks. And there were a few mistakes we made that now I would tell myself not to repeat. First, we had lost momentum. We had done this perfect little proof of concept. I was a consultant before business school, so I had made a beautiful slide deck that had sort of tied all that up with a bow, and was like, here's what we did. But investors were like, well, what's happening tomorrow? What's next month's numbers? What's next week's numbers? We were like, well, give us money, and then we could start the business again. And so we were in this chicken and egg, lost momentum situation. Big no-no. And we also talked to anyone with the title investor, sort of indiscriminately. And what we didn't realize is that it's a big leap to expect someone who had never invested in e-commerce or physical product or had no interest in the category of beauty to make their first investment in that space in us. So we were talking to people who had only done software, or they were scared to physically even touch the beauty samples in the boxes that we were bringing to them. And it just wasted a lot of our time. So what we ended up doing to recover from those mistakes is we were running like with our chickens with our heads cut off all over New York, taking these meetings and not actually raising any money. We decided to stop that. We said the most important thing is we actually launch this business again, and we create a great product and we delight our customers. So we raised from friends and family in the form of a loan, less than $100,000, just all that was necessary to rebuild the site and to get the first few months of the service up and running. And we just said no to any investors.
You said something really interesting earlier, which was that the way that you began thinking about this business is that nobody's going to buy it unless we are able to get partners on board. Now, I have to say and interject that this is a key part of technology strategy for platforms, which is the idea that if you have the other chicken and egg question of if you have a marketplace, you have two sides of the market, which one do you go for first? There's so many answers to this, and every situation is going to be a little bit different. A general rule of thumb is that the supply side is more important because you're essentially a vendor at this point. You're not necessarily a platform. Is that how you approach the problem? And related to that, as you were talking to these investors in your early days, what kind of advice did they give you, and was it geared at trying to solve a marketplace problem? What advice did you regard as useless, and what did you pull out of that as you embarked on the friends and family round?
Okay, so the first part of that, in terms of like why the supply side first, I think it was just intuitive to us. We really, the idea was born out of our needs as consumers and some frustrations that we had. And we knew that, like, why would we pay for samples, which was something that had never been done before, right? Samples were always given away for free as a marketing expense or a loyalty program. Why would we pay if we didn't know what we were getting? We knew it was sort of a non-starter. And we also felt that we could credibly talk to the supply side about some challenges that were going on in the beauty industry or in the retail industry overall, with the shift from brick and mortar to online, especially beauty brands which are tied to department stores, which were doing particularly not so hot after the 2008 recession. And luckily, I had taken a pretty good tech strategy class that talked about two-sided platforms and how you have to mobilize one side. Did investors give us good advice on that? I don't think, nothing comes to mind. And I think now in my role as investor, I think I'm not supposed to tell people how to execute strategy. What I'm supposed to do is understand who they are as founders, their fit with the market, and the potential for the idea that they want to pursue. If any of you start a business and there's an investor that tries to change what you think is the right approach, I think that's actually a bad sign. I think you should look for investors that believe in you and will help support you and empower the path that you want to take.
So this is kind of something that I wanted to transition into right now, which is now your role at First Round. You started in February 2017, is that right?
Yep.
And so it's been
2016. So
2016. Can you talk about what was going through your mind when you made this decision? You seem to have described both good and bad experiences dealing with investors as an entrepreneur. What aspect of that motivated you?
Yeah, so when I left my operating role at Birchbox, I'd been 6 years of every waking hour was devoted to this one business. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do next, but I sort of had a hypothesis that it would either be start something new, because I really loved building and operating, or perhaps go into more of an investing or advising role. My first foray into that was actually as an angel investor. So I felt so thankful. There were a few angels back in that time around we graduated that did actually sign checks. Gary Vaynerchuk, who has gone on to social media fame, and my friend Sam Lessin, who had a company in New York called Dropio that was acquired by Facebook, and he's now a VC, and founded another company.